take the party's message to communities across South Africa. The party calls upon all its members, supporters, and eligible South Africans to use this weekend's voter registration opportunity to register to vote and verify their registration details. Participation in elections begins with registration, and we encourage all citizens to ensure that they are correctly registered in their voting districts so that they can exercise their democratic right and contribute to shaping the future of their communities and the country. The party remains stable, united, and focused on its organizational and political program. The party is encouraged by the continued growth of its structures across the country and remains confident in its ability to fulfill its mandate to the people of South Africa. We are particularly grateful for the guidance, leadership, and political wisdom of President Jacob Zuma 16th of June. The enthusiasm, discipline, and commitment demonstrated by young people in attendance reflects the growing strength and future of the movement. The party further congratulates its young members of parliament and organizational leaders for their outstanding work in organizing and coordinating the success of the Youth Day program. Their efforts ensured a well-structured, meaningful, and impactful engagement with the program. Their efforts ensured a well-structured, meaningful, and impactful engagement with the youth, reinforcing the party's commitment to youth empowerment and mobilization. The party confirms that it will participate in the protest activity scheduled for the 30th of June 2026, which advocates for the enforcement of immigration laws and calls for the removal of illegal immigrants from South Africa. The party supports the planned march and the related activities and encourages members to participate in a disciplined and lawful manner. While the MK party supports the 30th June protest action, it firmly calls upon all participants to conduct themselves in a peaceful, disciplined and lawful manner. The party condemns any acts of violent intimidation, disruption of property, looting, and criminality that may arise during the course of the march. We urge all participants to respect the law, the rights of others, and the authority of law enforcement agencies. The purpose of the march is to peacefully express the concerns of South Africans, and any acts of violence or looting will not be supported or condoned by the party. The party notes with concern that some members participated in a parallel Youth Day program in Limpopo. The MK party remains firmly opposed to the establishment of parallel programs, structures, and activities that create confusion amongst members and supporters. The party will not hesitate to act decisively against factionalism, parallel structures, and any conduct that undermines organizational unity, discipline, and cohesion. The MK party remains committed to building a united, disciplined, and effective movement under its recognized constitutional structures. The MK party calls upon all members and supporters to remain disciplined, avoid speculation, and refrain from conduct that may further divide the organization. Members are encouraged to allow the party's constitutional processes to take their course and remain focused on the mission of building a united, disciplined and effective movement capable of advancing the aspirations of the people of South Africa. The party remains steadfast in defending its constitutional order and ensuring that all members are held accountable to the same standards of conduct. The national officials have considered a series of actions, public statements, and activities by Ms. Duduzile Zuma Sambudla and Mr. Nhlamulo Ndhlela that have been found to be in conflict with the constitutional obligations of members and leaders of the MK party and which have undermined organizational unity, discipline, and cohesion. In the case of Ms. Duduzile Zuma Sambudla, the party has noted repeated public statements and social media publications that have undermined organizational unity, promoted factional narratives, publicly discredited recognized party leadership structures, challenged the legitimacy of party decisions, and brought internal organizational matters into the public domain. These actions have contributed to divisions within the movement and have undermined confidence in the collective leadership of the organization. The party has further noted her participation in and promotion of activities outside officially sanctioned party programs, including conduct that created confusion amongst members and supporters regarding the official position and programs of the organization. Such actions have had the effect of encouraging factionalism, creating competing centers of influence, and weakening organizational discipline. With regard to Mr. Nhlamulo Ndhlela, the party has identified conduct that includes acting without proper organizational authority, convening and addressing media briefings without the approval of recognized party structures, misrepresenting party position and structures, participating in activities outside authorized party programs, and engaging in actions that have created confusion regarding official party processes and leadership arrangements. The party further notes with serious concern that the conduct of both members following the passing of an MK member of parliament, may his soul rest in peace, Honorable Muzi Jingila. Ms. Duduzile Zuma Sambudla and Mr. Nhlamulo Ndhlela participated in an activity that resulted in the transfer of an ailing Mr. Njingila to another health facility without the knowledge of the family. The party knows that neither individual had any authority to involve themselves in matters related to Mr. Njingila's illness or to separate him from his family. The party also knows concerns regarding the removal of Mr. Njingila's personal belongings from his parliamentary residence without the knowledge of his family. Following complaints received from the Njingila family regarding public commentary and conduct surrounding the deceased, the parliamentary leader, Dr. John Hlophe, instructed both members not to attend the funeral proceedings and to refrain from making public statements, commentary, or social media posts that could cause further distress to the family, particularly regarding the deceased and matters relating to his marital status. As the party, we extend our deepest apologies to the Njingila family for any distress caused during this difficult period. Despite these clear instructions, both members failed to comply with the directive. Ms. Zuma Sambudla subsequently participated in social media commentary relating to the deceased. The party regards this conduct as insensitive disrespectful to a grieving family, and inconsistent with the values, discipline, and standards expected of members of the organization. Their actions constituted a direct disregard of organizational authority and further aggravated divisions within the movement during a period of mourning. Having carefully considered the seriousness, extent, and cumulative impact of the conduct outlined above, the national officials have resolved that Ms. Duduzile Zuma Sambudla and Mr. Nhlamulo Ndhlela have acted in a manner fundamentally inconsistent with the values, discipline, constitutional principles, and organizational interest of the MK Party. By virtue of Section 2H of the Constitution, the President shall have the ultimate, which says, the President shall have the ultimate power to issue presidential decrees on any matter pertaining to the operation, administration, and policy direction of the party in the interest of the party, which shall be binding on all levels of the organization. The President may determine and convene a policy and consultative conferences to discuss issues and matters deemed important for the growth of the organization. Accordingly, the MK Party hereby announces the expulsion of Ms. Duduzile Zuma Sambudla and Mr. Nhlamulo Ndhlela from the party with immediate effect. Their membership of the MK Party is hereby terminated, and they shall no longer enjoy any rights, privilege, responsibilities, or authority associated with the membership of the organization.
Through this quickly. The first round of hands, please. If you have the two questions, you may raise them and we may conclude. Sir, you may stand up, provide your name and the media institution you represent.
Afternoon, Silver Sidia from UFM. I just want to ask on illegal immigration. As the former president, who do you think should be blamed for the undocumented foreign nationals that are currently happening in South Africa?
Thank you.
Good day, it's Bongani Mdagani from the Sunday World newspaper. Just need to understand regarding the expulsion of Nhlamulo Ndhlela and Duduzile Zuma Sambudla. As far as it says here, as the SG stated, that the two had been expelled from the party. I need to understand what measures did the party take in terms of disciplinary action. Were they formally charged before they were expelled? Number two, how this disciplinary action was considered in that regard for the party to decide that these two need to be expelled from the party. What is it that they've done? And were they called to represent their cases? That's the first question. The second question that I need to know is that Duduzile Zuma had been tweeting about the issue of Hillcrest, where she said that there are leaders of the party meeting in Hillcrest, discussing her and other members of the party. What is happening in Hillcrest? How is the matter? I mean, how did the whole thing of Hillcrest ended up being on Twitter and all that? Can I get answers from that, please? Thank you.
Sir.
Sibingelele uqondile okwadlodloyi from dlodloyi media ne owam umbuzo enguphathisiwe ukuthi sibuze i-leadership ukuthi nizithini inhlelo ze-weekend yama-election ingakumbi eMpumalanga since indaba i-leadership yakhona inganikezwa nge-direction e-right ama-comrade afangifoni lakhala ngokuthi ne i-list eyasubmithwayo yashintshwa and kwaba nomhlangano e-Witbank ucomrade uThoni Yengeni ubeka khona nguyena uconvener so i-list eyayikhishiwe wayiphika wathi akayazi. Manje kuthiwa kubuye kunye ilist futhi. Le bekayiphikile ethi akayazi. Kubuye same list. So umbuzo umme kanjalo ukuthi njengoba manje kuyi-weekend leya list ingamile kahle kuyi-weekend yama-registration election indaba khona ithini.
Thank you. This side. We're going to do one round, colleagues, and therefore, if you're satisfied, we'll be done.
No, thank
Go
you
to
very
you
much.
and then the Sunday Times.
Oh, thank you very much. My name is Lunga. I'm from the Mail and Guardian. Look, for me, just maybe on the expulsion of Miss Duduzile Zuma. From what I understand is that at some point, I think there was Jablan Kumale and the signatories at IEC had changed to Miss Duduzile. What is going to happen with that? And am I speaking facts or is it something that has been changed by now? Thank you.
Thank you. Behind you.
Good afternoon, Breiten here from Netwerk 24. Just my first question on the immigration issue. I heard that the MK party will be participating in the proceedings, if you can call it that, on 30 June. What measures will the party be taking to make sure that no instability takes place? I mean, we are hearing, these conversations or whispers of July 2021 that might happen and all of these things. So, what measures is the party taking from their side? And then we asked the presidency about a meeting that might take place in Nkandla between President Ramaphosa and President Zuma. What is that meeting about? If you can please indulge us. Thank you so much.
All right. The Sunday Times. Indaba enkulu mongameli. Yes, you will say. Yeah. Let's take the last from the Sunday Times, and you may continue.
Good afternoon. My name is Isanda Mbolekwa from the Sunday Times. In your statement, you say that the MK party is very capable of delivering to the aspirations of South Africans. How can this be done when in your statement you speak of factionalism, parallel structures, the instability with the revolving door of leadership? How can you reassure voters that the internal instability will not spill over into the municipal councils should they decide to vote for the Mkhonto weSizwe party? Thank you very much.
The statement says that we will not accept it. It doesn't say we have it. The statement does not say we have factionalism and division. The statement says, and if you read it correctly, we will not accept factionalism. Last round.
Yeah, the last question, sorry, is Bongana again from Sunday World. I just need to also understand one thing. Given the fact that MK party, there is this department called National Disciplinary Committee. Is that committee functioning when it comes to dealing with issues involving members who need to be disciplined? If it's working, how is it working? Because we need to understand who are those people who have been charged by those and who is responsible for that. One more question to the president, President Zuma. If it happens tomorrow that you wake up being suspended by the officials of the party without the knowledge, what is it that you're going to do? As it happens that in the MK party, people get suspended without their knowledge and all that. If it happens, it's you, President, that you get suspended. How are you going to deal with the situation? Thank you.
All right. I think that may conclude it. Slalo.
Okay. So do I use this mic or? Okay. No, thank you very much. There are several questions that I'll attempt to respond to. I'm still working it out in my mind whether I should be responding to that question that you just posed. Uteo from also Sunday World. Oh, okay. Now, Usbia is asking about the issue of illegal immigration. Any one of you that is seated in this hall, you have papers that do establish your citizenship to this country. if not a citizenship to this country, but a citizenship to another country. But you have papers that also talk to the issue why you are in this country. Okay? So, government has a responsibility to enforce all laws, and that will include immigration. And therefore, our people on the ground are calling upon government to do that which is correct, and that is enforcing the question of the applicable immigration laws. I think associated with this question, there's somebody who's then saying, but how will we ensure that nothing amiss goes on about the protest action billed for the 30th of March? In our statement, we make this point clearly. In the constitution of this country, citizens, ordinary citizens, have a right to voice, to basically voice their dissatisfaction in any manner possible within the ambit of the law. And that means all protest action that we stage as South African citizens must be peaceful. They must also take into account the rights of others. It's possible that I'm part of a particular action and you don't want to be part of that action, but I must also respect the fact that you do not support my standpoint and so on. And I think that's more to do with the democratic outlook of this country. Now, disciplinary action, I think somebody from Sunday will do a foot, yeah. Disciplinary action, by the way, and most people think that there's only one route to it. There is the kind of transgressions that are for summarily dismissal. In other words, on the spot. Sometimes we miss this particular point, that there are kinds of transgressions, for an example, that require that you must act on the spot and act decisively right there and there. Okay. Now, even out there in industry, this point will be known, right? A truck driver that is caught with a bottle of beer and driving a trunk gets dismissed on the spot. Okay, so that's the nature of summary dismissal and so on. So that's quite ordinary. The statement is clear about what kind of transgressions have been embarked upon. And I think yourselves in the media space, because that's your world, that's where you circulate, you have seen these things. You have seen these things. Now, Sunday World is asking about Hillcrest. Hillcrest is a particular town on the hill somewhere in KZN. Now, I don't know why you want to know something about Hillcrest, because MK doesn't have an office in Hillcrest. We operate from designated areas in set up in administration. Hey, Duduzile media. Ban Duduzile. Uwe. Duduzile. Yeah. Manje, kukhona into engayi-understand, uthunywa uba? Uthunywa ubani? No, you said, yima. Ngaze sibe clear ngale nto. Uthi wena uthunyiwe ukuthi uzobuza le mbuzo. Ngiyabuza ke mina. Uthunywa ubani? Yeah.
So what's just to say, Lama Fish, thinking of the media. Abantu babuya lesikuze we-meet amaphutshi ukuthi inhlelo the weekend ime kanjani.
Hayi manje ke wena Dludlu lo mbuzo wami uyawubalekela but ke asikuyeke ngoba uyawubalekela. Okay, awufuni ukusho ukuthi uthunywe ubani. Kodwa ke ufuna sazi nina bafowethu, because you also call yourself a comrade. What always works are principles of openness and transparency when we deal with issues. Angiyabona? Ngoba ufuna ngazi ukuthi ngiphendula abani manje. Yabona, next to you ngiyazi ukuthi ngiphendula Sunday World. And Sunday World has got nothing to do with MK. Okay? Bese bakhona uDludlu imedia. Uyayidlodloya ke lento yena. So ufuna siqaphele lona, but nevertheless I think I would also maybe ask the Deputy President to just give a bit of a reflection about the question of our program, because well, on these particular programs and what it is that we're doing, okay? But some of the issues are internal to the party. So it's of no value that I would share internal matters of Umkhonto weSizwe with you, because now if so yeah, that's the thing. And I think somebody also spoke about the question of signatories. That's a hearsay about at some point who signed this or whatever. And look, the question of signatories, there's something known in organizations, whether is it out there in industry or institutions, private and public. If you have change in leadership, it means if, for an example, I was signing on the accounts of Umkhonto weSizwe, and when Umkhonto weSizwe says to me, "You're no longer the national chair of Umkhonto weSizwe," it means I would no longer sign on the accounts of Umkhonto weSizwe. That's how logic works, okay? Until, of course, I'm replaced by somebody else who assumes the role of being the national chair, then assumes the responsibility with signatories and specimens of all sorts of manner of things. Network, yeah, 24. You spoke about the issue of how to ensure that no instability takes place. When you have an activity in the manner in which it would unfold on the 30th, the only responsible thing for us as political leadership to do, as we have done today, is to make a call to our members to then say, look, participate in this legitimate action because it is for a legitimate cause, but do so within the context of the applicable laws. Do so in a peaceful manner. Do so in a manner that respects the rights of fellow citizens and so on. And that's the call that we're making in regard to that. I'm not going to respond on the question of whether there is tea between President Zuma and Ramaphosa. I wouldn't do that. Angazi nami ukuthi uyithole iphi kahle, where did you get this thing from? But nevertheless, at some point, maybe you'll get some clarity, I don't know. The issue in the public space has been planted, and that has been deliberately done. Is it Sunday Times or Sunday World that is asking this question? You said Sunday Times, sis. Okay. We have fallen into a trap because people have created this notion and that if you are dealing with organizational matters in the manner in which we do, it means we're creating instability. I don't know where that thing comes from. I don't know. And in fact, it would be interesting that those who pose this question, if you say, but what do you mean by instability? Is it because we are running the organization and organizational programs as they are, and they continue to run, they continue, the organization continues to function. But should it happen that amongst ourselves, there is that which we must correct, we are doing so with the view of not taking the organization down, but building the organization, advancing it, and consolidating it, right? So, and it is a normal thing, and I keep on harping on this thing. It is a normal thing. Even at Sunday times, it's normal to do so. If you don't function in accordance with the stated aims and predetermined objectives of your establishment called Sunday Times, your editor will not hesitate to take you out. But does that mean Sunday Times does not exist, or is it unstable or something? It doesn't mean, it doesn't necessarily correlate to that. So I think we need to be careful about this thing. Of course, in the social media space, these things have been planted that if you happen to correct certain things in the organization with a view to correct the organization itself and grow it, it means the MK is unstable and so on. And I think you would be proven wrong about this notion. Sunday World, I think I responded quite sufficiently to your issue about the NDC. Thank you very much.
No, sir, we allowed one round, so I think you've exhausted your questions. The DP, you can come with a response from Mpumalanga if there is one, or the SG.
Yeah, thanks, Comrade National Spokesperson. Comrade President Zuma, in absentia, officials of Mkondo Wesizwe, ladies and gentlemen of the media, I'm responding to or adding to a response by the National Chair on one question about Mpumalanga. And I will preface it by making the point that this coming weekend is a national registration weekend, which is an IEC program and which we are committed to as a party. And as indicated earlier, officials of Mkondo Wesizwe have been deployed nationally to conduct this registration. It's not the first, it's not the last. There's another one coming in August, as we understand it. And so this is going to take place not only in Mpumalanga, by the way, but throughout the country. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing is that the issues that the gentleman is raising about lists in Mpumalanga, initially he says he was been sent to ask those questions, and subsequently he retreats from being sent. But be that as it may, the meeting that he's referring to that raises the issue of the lists in Mpumalanga that I responded to was an internal meeting of the organization of Mkondo Wesizwe, discussing internal matters in Mpumalanga, because the president had deployed us
to go and meet the structures there and intervene in the solution of the problems that were there. And that's what we did. And in the course of those interactions, a number of issues were raised. One of them was the list. People who are in the list or people who are not in the list, and so on and so forth, which was an internal meeting. And therefore, because it was an internal organizational meeting, I'm not at liberty to be reporting back to you about those issues. I'm not, with all due respect. What is expected of me as a person who was leading a delegation to Mpumalanga is to report back to those structures after having reported to the officials. Now, the officials have deliberated on my report from Mpumalanga, and they've given me a mandate to go back to Mpumalanga to respond to all the issues that were raised in an internal meeting in Mpumalanga. We are planning to go back to Mpumalanga to respond to all the issues, not just the one that you are raising. There are a number of issues that were raised. Actually, if I recall, we had agreed that yesterday we're going to go back there to Mpumalanga to respond to all the issues. But because of the IEC case, we had to postpone that meeting. But more importantly, we're still going back there to engage our comrades. We have no reason not to respond to issues raised with us. But I've also asked the president to accompany us when we go back, because to a large extent, some people second guess the decisions of the president. Some people are already second guessing the decisions of the organization that we're going to announce today. The whole morning on social media, second guessing, suggesting that the president has had no role to play in the decisions that were announced here today, or does not have any role on any decision of the organization, which is incorrect. And so we are going to go back to Mpumalanga with the president and all the officials and respond to those issues and speak in one voice and ensure that the dignity of Umkhonto weSizwe in Mpumalanga, as the second biggest province of MK, is restored. So we're not going to flinch from carrying out our responsibilities. We are going to go back there and deal with those matters. But I want to say to you, as umuntu othunyiweyo, I have no right to respond to matters that are internal matters. I don't know how you even got those things. You see, one of the things that we need to stamp out is rumor mongering, gossip mongering, behind people's backs, rubbishing the integrity of leaders and members of this organization. I'm not going to be party to that thing. And therefore, from me today, you are not going to get any response about lists and how we're dealing with them. Those are internal matters. Thank you.
No, Pala, you have a take. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Somdom. I just want to send one statement to all the media houses that today, being the 18th of June, 2026, is the last time we're talking about this matter of these two comrades. We're not going to be disrupted by affairs of individuals. We're running a big organization, which is very busy. The political task at hand is very massive. And it can't be our day-to-day activity to talk about tweets and Facebook posts. So we're talking about this thing for the last time today. If you meet us on the streets as journalists, you must ask us about the work of the organization. Not about tweets, Facebook, WhatsApp, and so on. Because we're not going to be disrupted. They can write whatever they like, but we're not going to lose focus. We're focusing on building a strong organization. And we know who the enemy of the revolution is. So we're not going to degenerate to be answering Facebook posts and tweets and so on. So if people decide to write in the morning, midnight, during the day, that's their own baby. And as the party, we've got nothing to do with that. They can say whatever they like, but the fact of the matter is that we're not going to be disrupted. We're going to work, we're going to focus on working for the organization. On the question of President Zuma being removed, I think we are too ambitious. That will never happen. And my general perspective is that this action that we have just announced has collapsed a narrative that you have been driving for a very long time as the media, that the MK party is a family stokvel. Now we are going to run out of stories about the MK party. You will run out of negative stories because the president has given direction and has displayed that everyone is equal in the party. We're all equal as members of the party. No one is above by virtue of being a daughter to so-and-so. We're all equal as members. So I know we are so disappointed because that story now has lost relevance. And there is no concerted effort to exclude anyone from the family of the president from participating in this organization. We're working very well. I mean, there are also children who are politicians in their own right, who are members of this party, and who subject themselves to the behest of the leadership and to the behest of the organization. For instance, we've been running the consultative forums, and in all provinces, we've been deploying Comrade Duduzile Zuma as a politician, not as a son, because he has never capitalized on that. When we treat him as a member of the MK party. And he has never come to us and said, Dad said. He has always subjected himself to the authority of the organization. And he continues to be a very disciplined member of this party. And there's no concerted effort to get rid of him. So even that story that you are driving is not there. And it will never be there. Members who are ill-disciplined are going to be subjected to disciplinary processes. And in this context, the president has invoked his presidential decree enshrined in the constitution of the MK party to take this decision. So you must understand this thing in its correct context. And please, in a process of formulating propaganda, you must do at least one favor for yourself. You must never allow logic to collapse. Because the perception you will give us is that you are delusional. If you talk about things which are invisible, like people who come here and say, we've been sent by so-and-so, but you can't even tell us who sent you to raise all these issues that you are raising. With regards to Mpumalanga, I think it has been properly explained, but During our previous media briefing, we did explain the intervention that is being made in Mpumalanga. And that intervention is a product of a collective, is a product of the National Officials Meeting, which was convened 2 weeks ago. After dissecting the state of the organization in the province, it arrived to a conclusion that there must be a swift national intervention in the province. And that's why the decision was taken, because comrades there in the province amongst themselves cannot work as a united force. And we said we can't resolve within this limited period between now and the 4th of November all political problems which are confronting the organization in that province. We need to give ourselves some time. And during that time, there must be an intervention because politics don't allow a vacuum. So that is the issue of Mpumalanga, and I think we did explain it, Tara. For the weekend, the voter registration weekend, the country will be black and green. All voting stations will have MK party volunteers, encouraging the people of South Africa to register to vote MK party on the 4th of November. So we're going to communicate with our structures today and give them a line of march on what will happen over the weekend. So even those comrades who have sent you to come and ask questions, those invisible comrades must be patient. We're going to communicate directives with them as the party. But there is no way that as the party we can just keep quiet during the voter registration weekend. There's going to be a lot of activism from the side of the organization. I just wanted to answer those questions, Somlom. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nopala Chigelele. Members of the media, the statement is uploaded on all of our social media apps. Some of the questions you're asking have already been answered in the statement as it is read by our Secretary General. Please refer to that statement. Also on social media today, we will publish the framework for the selection of councillors. Please familiarize yourselves with that process. Some of the questions relate to that. All those questions will be answered by our documents this afternoon. The city of eThekwini, interesting to mention to you, has outlined that our march, as led by our Secretary General last week, was the biggest march in KZN in the last 25 years. So that's a nice thing to mention to you, our dear friends who are members of the press. Yeah. I think just in protection of journalism, Nopala, we must maybe scrutinize the people who come into our media portals. If we say that it's a media conference, it's not a conference of branches, it's not a conference of agents who are sent by members of branches in various spheres. This is a media conference and we entertain professionals who are engaged in media forums. I think we must make that point illustratively clear. So to our friends in the media and our online audience, thank you very much. I'll ask the SG to remain just to give you some headlines for this session in case there's specific questions you have directed, of course, to the statement presented here. The SG and myself will remain for a few minutes. I will therefore ask the officials to lead the president. President Zuma, we will now take leave of you and you may return to Nkandla. I believe the media believes we've got a meeting with the Buffalo today.
Ubantu bengibuza ngoRamaphosa konje.
Network News 24.
Awubuze kwakhona uthi kwenze njani?
News 24, you may come.
Oh, awusabuzi.
No, I'm here.
Uphi? Njobe ngichophe ngamehla amhlophe nje amabele amakhulu la. Ngibona kanjani? Oh, ububuzani baba?
We asked the presidency about a possible meeting between you and President Ramaphosa.
Who said there must be a meeting with Ramaphosa?
No.
Who told you?
We asked the presidency, so they said there is
Eh?
we asked the presidency. So we asked the question to them, and they said there is a possibility that there might be a meeting.
We are just asking whether there's a possibility.
Whether it's a possibility, they were speaking in terms of certainty that this meeting.
But why do you choose to ask me and Ramaphosa to meet? You must be thinking very hard. Eh? No, I'm joking, my brother. There is nothing between me and Ramaphosa. We come from very far. We're still in the same country. He's leading the country. He's in trouble, Nkosiam. It's not my problem. So please don't just funa ngikhulume Ramaphosa. Yini nkulumo Ramaphosa? Ramaphosa ngimazi semfana mina. I'm old, very old. I don't know why you don't ask about issues, serious issues. Buza ngoRamaphosa. Ekhulume noZuma. Bese niyabhala ukuze malanga. No. Ngifuna ukukutshela nje ukuthi uma ufuna ukuyikhuluma noMaphosa uya lapha. Ufuna mina uze la kimi. Ngasihlanganisi sino Ramaphosa. Anginankinga noRamaphosa. And with Ramaphosa siyahlangana sihleke. Besise Swazini very recently. It was very nice. Wajabula kakhulu. Nami ngathi kuhle mfana wami. Kulungile ke ngoba awuphelele baba ngithi uzobuza umbuzo serious. Oh, ukhona umunye ufana ngimsize. We baba. If uzala ubuza imbuzo. Pendula nawe imbuzo mawubuzwa. It can't be one-sided. It just can't be one-sided. Wena ushone ngapha ungafuna ukuphendula. Kodwa wena ufuna ukwazi ukuthi awungitshele no. Akunjalo mfana wami. Ngiyakunceda. Uma uzala ubuza ukuthi ngizobuza lo mangibuza nami ngophendula. Ababuzwa ayena ama journalists. Ayabuzwa why engaphenduli normally. Ngeke uphendule nowodwa. Thula ke mfana wami. Ukhulu uzolunga.
Thank you very much, President. Members of the press, we will meet somewhere. Nopala, if you may stay for just a moment, in case there are questions and interviews. Colleagues, if you have some questions, you may come, or do you need us to step forward? If there are, we can step forward there and answer some of the questions.